Why do you think some senior ministers are threatened by the rise of a younger minister under them? I heard Pastor Kanu said they should be given responsibility. And no, I don't know whether you experienced it when you started ministry. Did you ever have any time when a senior minister didn't actually trust you to handle things? And if you actually did, why do you think senior ministers are often, not in all cases, but often threatened by the rise of a younger minister under them, sir?
Well, thank you. Both in the church, even in the secular world. You know what happened to David? David succeeded in killing Goliath. There was supposed to be peace and celebration. But getting home, the way the women were praising David caused lots and lots of threat to Saul. And he felt that David needs to be killed. You see, most people, especially the old ones, they are afraid that attention will now be diverted to this young one. Or not to them that if they are able to bring up this young one, just like my pastor said, it is not how long you hold on to the mic, but how many people you are able to raise up to keep holding that mic after you. That is what matters. Because if you notice that their light, they are shining, it's not dimming your own light, but it's extending your legacy, then you don't feel threatened. These are the bottom line. Because of the some praise from people, from members, they feel they should still be there. Whereas if they have mentored these young ones, give them the support, praise them openly, because this is what encourages young ministers. When you praise them openly, acclaim them, the fact the young ministers takes you upon them, because if the young ministers are succeeding, it is you that is actually succeeding. If you don't have anybody to continue, that your area is closed up, then what happens? If you close up the area and they say, I want support, we have a professor in that area, nobody is there, it means you could not bring God to extend our light, to extend our legacy. We should not feel threatened. Meanwhile, we should be encouraged that we are building up people to take over us, that wherever we are told, we'll be proud that, yes, my son is talking. Yes, my daughter is talking.
Thank you very much, sir. If somebody who is either a senior minister or a younger minister is not watching now, and you know that person, you could quickly put a call through, because the whole essence of this session is not to castigate anyone, is not to praise anyone, is not to pull anybody down, but to show us how to do it. And I know that from the questions that we're going to be answering, senior assistant to the special assistant to the president, Pastor Asokeji, on practical ways that senior leaders, senior pastors can lead. This is not limited to Christ Apostolic Church. What practical ways can senior ministers mentor and encourage, develop and deploy younger ministers, sir?
Thank you very much. I want to drop this before answering your question, that our responses, various responses, are not without the understanding that there are specific cases that could have triggered grievously wounded by younger ministers, not once, not twice.
Very true, sir.
Would find it difficult
to trust another.
For instance, if you started your ministry and you trusted a younger minister who betrayed you once or twice, it will not be easy for you to trust any other younger minister. There's no way. You always remember that you've been bruised. However, it takes the grace of God for anybody to let go of, to allow God to heal him, knowing fully well that this is a marathon. Though in a marathon, you don't struggle to outshine the other person. In fact, you pray that whoever is going to take the baton from you should run faster than you. If you're an athlete in a marathon, if you've done your best,
sorry, you mean a relay, sir?
A relay. A relay. So it is in the ministry. I just want to drop this. So going back to your question, I want to make allusion to the story of Paul, Barnabas, and John Mark. It's a classic story that I love to relay. You know that it was Barnabas who introduced Paul
Yeah.
to the church, that he was born again.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, Barnabas became the second after Paul. Paul was like taking the shine after him, because from Acts chapter 9, Paul and Barnabas, no problem. So they went on the first missionary journey. John Mark went with them. By the way, John Mark was a cousin to Barnabas. John Mark's mother was Mary, in whose house they used to fellowship. They took him along, but at some point in time, I think they got to Cyprus. Ministry was not favorable. They only got one convert in Cyprus and many demons and opposition. At that point in time, John Mark decided to go back home. No problem. You know, that missionary journey was not fruitful, humanly speaking. So they did that, came back home. And after some time, Paul said, let's go to Cyprus to check on the people. Barnabas said, no problem, let's take John Mark. But Paul said, no. He's not going to go with us. How would he go with us? A young minister who betrayed us. And there are stories around that, that John Mark not only deserted them, he came home to give some unfavorable report about Paul, which Paul had to defend. So that also aggravated. Yeah. Painfully. I mean, you deserted us, you came home. The story is that, you know, Paul was a liberal person, born again. But there's a Jewish, Paul knew about this, kept quiet. So the next journey, they said, let's take John Mark. Paul said, no, he's not going with us. The Bible said there was a sharp division. Acts 15:36 downward, there was a sharp division that Paul had to go with Silas. Barnabas had to go with John Mark. Yeah. Barnabas went to Cyprus. Silas and Paul and Silas went to, I think, Sicilia or Pamphylia, wherever. Now, the point I want to bring out is that John Mark is my focus as a young minister that deserted his master. I mean, it not only deserted, it caused a rift between two senior ministers. To me, I can never ever trust such person. There's no way. Even if he sided me, I know that if he did it to my friend, he can do it for me. But look at it. Barnabas rehabilitated him. Barnabas gave him a second chance. Barnabas took him along on ministry. And I began to wonder, if Barnabas, I'm not judging Paul, I just want us to draw a lesson from it on being magnanimous. It will help us if we see that this ministry is not our own. Whether you are young or you are old, we are part of a team. We may offend ourselves. In football, you can fight, you can all the best, but your goal must be to win that tournament.
The match.
So, my joy is that twice Paul requested for John Mark. Once he called him a fellow worker. The next time, at close to the end of his life, in prison in Rome, he says, send to me
John Mark,
because he's useful.
Profitable.
If there was no second chance, how would those who can tell me the story of how they also tolerated me? There's no way a young minister, except for the grace of God, young ministers will always make mistakes. Like Pastor said, either because of inexperience, ambition, zeal, or outright arrogance. But there's a place for us as experienced minister to tamper justice. Whether they are arrogant, whether they are what, we should see it as I also was tolerated.
Don't you think that require special training, special grace to do?
The first thing before training is knowledge. I mean, there is a need for every one of us to know, like I said, that there is a place for Barnabas in ministry. I may not be able to tolerate a younger minister, but somebody around my age group should be able to say, okay, if he can't work with you, let him come to me, at least for some time. That is scarce in our ministry. The church authority corrected him. Within 24 hours, he apologized. It's not a Christ Apostolic Church talk, but some fathers would have come out to curse him. That's the place. You know, in the course of correcting him, the church was asking, this thing that you said, where is it in your, is it the same Bible that we are reading? And I want to tell you that there were fathers around him that called our fathers. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, it doesn't belong to our church, but there were fathers who could say, Daddy Emabinu, please forgive him for our sake. Where is that in our church? Where is that in our ministry? When somebody offends a senior minister, every other senior minister becomes his enemy.
Yes, yes,
so
sir.
who is going to take over from you?
Where is the Barnabas?
Where is the Barnabas? When Paul was dying, he needed Barnabas, he needed John Mark, not just to bring his parchment, his winter coat. He said that means he needed a companion. We should remember.
Closing remark from everyone. There are some senior pastors who are misrepresenting the authority. With all due respect, they are misrepresenting the policies, the agenda of the church authority on the field. How do the church correct? Because like this, the theme of our conference is preparing God's people for leadership. And if we're looking at it in depth, we're talking about the younger one coming behind us. A generation will go, a generation is coming behind. And if we keep on having misrepresentation on the field, how can we address this issue of seemingly misrepresentation of the interests of the fathers on the field? How do we address that, sir? In encouraging younger people in coming into ministry and growing in ministry, sir.
Number one, we must see such representation as one of the contention of the gates of hell against the church. You know, sometimes we look at the person not looking behind the reason why it is. So if we see it as one of the strategy of the devil to discourage people, discourage young ministers from coming into ministry, then we'll find a way to address it. The church authority is, the training that the church authority has organized, the pastor's leadership retreat, is one of the ways. And several times the church authority meets with senior ministers. One of those platforms is also the pastor's conference, where by the grace of God in the next 4 days, DCC and zonal superintendents can call district superintendents to others. District superintendents can call assembly pastors. Pastors can call fellowship leaders to others. So that's the cascading of authority. And lastly, you see, we can also combat falsehood by being right. Mahatma Gandhi says, you should be the change that you desire. There is a place for criticism, but there's a place for exemplary living. As bad as Saul was, he knew that there's a spirit in David that was different from him. That's just what I want to say. The member of the church can be a lesson to their pastor if they lead right. You don't need to be a pastor to do the best thing. I mean, I tell pastors, I say, sometimes you are posted to a station to go and learn. You are not always there to teach. If we are humble enough, from that lesson, we become equipped for where God is taking us to.
Thank you very much. This is awesome. This is an awesome session. I wish we could have this on repeat, even in the day. But because of our time, we have to take the closing remark. I'm going to start with Pastor Gio Abraham. What would be your advice to senior pastor? Just one minute. Your advice to senior pastor, your advice to younger minister. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, I think the senior pastor has to learn to contact and connect. It's always missing. They have their youth is a contact, but you have to understand their worldview. What do they think about their future? Many of the youth, they carry so much problem. From my experience, when I began to deal with the youth, I found that at the point, I was not getting the attention, and I was getting frustrated. So it was one that was very close to me, and I said, he told me, why would they come to you? They fear your face. And it made me start thinking, what's my face? He said, nobody wants to come to you, because that was when I knew I had problem to solve personally.
Perhaps you're not smiling.
Because it's about leadership. It rises and falls on leadership. The youth cannot lead it. So the contact and connection. The connection is, how do you Can you reach them? Can you touch them? Can you feel the way they feel? Can you make them to unwind, to to be able to open to you? I did it. The education problem at home. There was one that said the father was fiddling with her, sleeping with her, and so I began to, and they now began to trust me. And before you knew it, it was a major fellowship of very serious interaction.
Contact
so
and connect.
yes, contact and connection. You have to connect. So many leaders are disconnected. They just have youth. There was one that said something that, it was brought to a church. I was the youth coordinator in the district. And he called me. He said, these youths are demonic. And he was going to deal with them. And I told Baba, I think that's the reason why God sent you, to set the captive free. One day he called me in the service. I should come to his service, and I was there. Immediately the service was ending, he just took the microphone and said, all choir members, stand up. He said, you have been misbehaving, you have been doing and that and that. So for that reason, I suspend you today in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. About 40 youths left that day.
Wow.
The church has not recovered for about 25 years now.
Wow.
So it's a problem. To the youths, I think the youths have to learn that life is a marathon. They want to fix it quick, and it's a problem. Yes, because they have this internet and all that, and they believe that they can get a solution fast. They have to. Somebody came to me, one of my youths. He said, why is it that some leaders don't encourage their youths? No matter what. I told him, a leader like the Lord Jesus, the disciples tried all they could to cast out the devil, and the devil refused to go. And so when the Lord Jesus came, the man told the Lord, your disciples have been trying to do this thing for so long, and they couldn't. What he replied was, perverse generation, for how long will I be with you? The same language is used by the Pharisees was what he was using for this. Because the standard is high. If it's John the Baptist, he may not have such problems. So your leader must learn to understand your leader, his values, his principles, to know how to connect to him as well, and be able to assist.
Thank you very much, Pastor Obina. Your closing remarks, sir.
What I will say here is this, that it is important for our leaders to be able to understand the young ministers. Why am I saying this? Because if you don't understand them as to mentor, teach them, give them that encouragement. Let me say this. My belief, I prefer to talk more on somebody's strength than the person's weakness. It has worked for me.
You prefer to talk more on somebody's strength.
And I believe everybody has his strength. I talk more. I encourage somebody. I tell you that you are doing well. You can. By doing so, the weakness of that person began to go down. The person will begin to check his weakness. If you, as a father, you make your young pastor to know that you have faith in him, you believe he will do well, you give him that opportunity, that you encourage him that he's going to do well, then he will begin to manage himself. Let me give you what happened in my ministry. There is one minister I have, handle him. Nobody, with due respect to God, nobody, no other senior minister, even before me, can handle him. But do you know one thing? When they gave it to me, there's nothing I can do. Can I throw him away? I said to myself, I must learn endurance through this man. I was trying to manage him, and I did so. For some years. When he left, he made people to know. He says, Pastor Obina, he cannot forget me in life. He said, there's nothing he didn't do. There is nothing to push me, but I show him love. And today, he's doing well with him and his wife. So, and why them in our church is that most of our leaders don't believe or understand that somebody can make a mistake today and grow. There's no way, nobody like me before I get to this level. I made my mistakes. I wasn't born an angel. Some people pastored me, teach me, corrected me, and I become what I am today. And so I also have to do the same to other people. You can't just assume that somebody will be an angel without having any fault. So it is your duty as a senior person, as a leader, to correct and direct and guide the person. The mentorship. And let me say this. Do you know that some of our ministers will be in our church and take another pastor from another church as his or mentor, as his mentor? Why? It's because maybe they believe that there's nobody around for you to use as a mentor. Because how can I call you a mentor when you are not interested in my welfare, when you are not interested in for me to grow? That the position I was, excuse me, let me say this. The position I was today, my former DCC superintendent, that is our late Pastor Inem, discover, and a Calabar man, discover something that I didn't even know that I carry. He was the one that discovered that I am going to become somebody that probably that will represent the church at this level. The man is late. He was not alive when it happened. He picked me up. Anywhere he's going, he carried me along. Before you know it, I began to speak for Khan, Imo State. I began to speak for the government. I began whatever. It was that man that discovered it. As a leader, you must be able to discover what is in your
Thank you very much, sir. I don't know whether time will permit us to take every other remarks, but I would definitely permit. I would definitely want I would definitely want Prof to say something. Prof, if you can make it short, then we can take from Pastor Sukeji as well. Prof, over to you.
Thank you very much. If you see a scenario of a very big cow being led by a little boy, you see, the big cow is just for a little boy, gradually without stress. Leadership is not in size. It is in attitude. Both the senior and the junior ministers. Attitude matters. Thank you very much.
That's deep. Thank God I allowed you. Thank God you said that. Oh, praise God. All right. The final shot will be from the senior assistant to the president, the special assistant to the president, Pastor Tunde Aksokeji. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. To the youth, I want to let you know that if God called you, He has a place for you, but there is a time for your showing. David was anointed when I was somewhere reverse mentoring. Sometimes it's your subordinate that will mentor you in some instances, like Naaman's servant, like some other people in the Bible. So I just want us to know that most times, discover that if somebody knows that you love him or her, even when you are annoyed with such him or her, even when you are annoyed with such a person, he will take it in his stride. So as experienced ministers, let's show love to the younger ministers. Let them see us as fathers. So even when we are wrong, they'll be able to tolerate us. When we are cross, they will.
If you have learned a lot from this session, it's our belief and our confidence that in the course of this conference, the Lord is going to be speaking to you even much more on this subject. But I would like you to know that God is preparing a generation. God is building a people. And you are part of the agenda. You are part of that system that will succeed, that will come after this generation. And either you are a young minister or a senior minister, there is a role for you to play. For a young minister, be humble. learn. There is still a lot of something God is teaching you. There is something God is building in you. You have learned from here that there are a lot of things that we still do not know that we need to